and welcome back to Cooking at the Cauthens. It's been a while since I've made a video for you, but I'm back and I've got something special for you guys. So this month I'm going to be doing a 12 Days of Christmas cookie series. So today we're going to be making some sugar cookies with royal icing. So let's get started. I'm going to start by mixing the dry ingredients together. So this is 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour that I'm adding to the bowl. And now I'm going to add half a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I'm just going to mix these 3 ingredients together. And I'll just set this bowl to the side while I mix up our wet ingredients. So I'm going to start by adding 3/4 cup of butter. So this is a stick and a half of softened butter. And now I'm adding 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar, 1 egg, and a tablespoon of pure vanilla extract. And I'm just going to mix all of these together. Mix all the wet ingredients together, I'm just going to slowly incorporate our dry ingredients into the mixture. So I just added a little bit of the dry ingredients, and now I'm just going to mix that in. You just want to do it a little bit at a time, because otherwise it'll be very difficult to mix the ingredients together. Added our next bit of the dry ingredients. Okay, I'm just going to take my rubber spatula and get some of the stuff around the sides, because you want to make sure you get everything incorporated into each other, because we want a nice smooth dough because we're going to roll this out. So I've finished mixing our cookie dough together, and as you can see, you've got a nice pliable dough that is perfect for rolling out. And so now that I've finished the dough, I'm going to roll it out and I'm going to cut it into shapes. Now it's time to start rolling out the cookie dough. So I'm just going to put down some flour on my cutting board so that it doesn't stick. Got to make sure you spread the flour out, because you don't want it to stick to certain parts of the board. Make sure you get flour around the edges, because it's never good when the cookie dough sticks to the edges of the board and then starts to tear. So this should be enough. And now I'm just going to take about half of our cookie dough, and I'm just going to put it on the board. And I'm going to just put a little flour over it so that it doesn't stick to the rolling pin. So now I'm just going to roll it into a nice thin layer. So I'll roll it this way, and then I will turn the cutting board and roll it the other way. And if you see it tearing a little bit, you can always just pat it back together and put another layer of flour on your dough so that it doesn't start to stick again. There we are. So now that the cookie dough is flattened into a nice thin layer, I'm going to cut out some shapes. So I've got a candy cane right here, and I've also got a star. So let's start with the candy cane. So I just cut 4 candy cane shapes. I'm just going to tear away the excess dough. And here you are. You've got a nice candy cane shape. I've finished cutting out all of the candy cane shaped cookies. And as you can see, you've got a nice candy cane shape to it. So I'm going to cut out all of the star-shaped cookies, and then I'm going to let all of the cookies cool in the refrigerator for about 2 hours. Cutting out all of the star-shaped cookies. So now I'm going to take both sets of cookies and I'm going to put them in the refrigerator to chill for about 2 hours. So I'm still waiting for the cookie dough to finish chilling, and while we're waiting, let's work on the royal icing. So right here I have 4 cups of powdered sugar. And I'm just going to take the sugar and whisk it around to get out any lumps. So now it looks all nice and there. So now it looks nice, there's no lumps. So now I'm going to add 3 ounces of egg whites. So this is 3 egg whites. But if you're not comfortable with the idea of using egg whites in your icing, you can also substitute it for meringue powder. Although it is perfectly safe to use raw egg whites in icing because it's the egg yolk that has all of any bacteria that might be in the egg. So now I'm just going to mix that together. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. The icing is coming along nicely. Now it is a little bit thicker than I would like it to be. So I'm just going to add a small amount of water until I get it to the point where I want it. But you don't want to add too much water because otherwise it'll be runny. Alright, so I am done making the royal icing. And it is a nice, smooth, rich texture, which is perfect for frosting sugar cookies. And if you want, you can set a small portion of this aside and dye it a different color if you want to make different colored cookies. Alright, so the cookie dough shapes are done cooling. The dough has set very nicely. So now I'm going to just put a thin layer of flour onto a cookie sheet so that nothing sticks. And I'm going to stick this into a 350-degree oven for it to bake. So just make sure you spread all of the flour around because you don't want anything to stick. And now I'm just going to arrange these. I'm going, and the cookies are out, and I have dyed the icing. I dyed some of it red, and I dyed some of it blue. So I'm going to show you how to frost the cookies. I'm going to show you a technique called flooding. So normally I would frost this. I have a set of tips that I would use, but since a lot of you don't have those, I'm going to show you how to do this with a plastic bag. So I've cut a small hole in the plastic bag, and I put icing in it. And what I'm going to do is first outline the edge of the cookie in icing. And once you've outlined it, you just want to go in and fill in the empty space. You want to try to use vertical lines as much as possible rather than horizontal, because it will generally turn out better. And then you just settle it, and you've got your frosted cookie. So I'll just show you how to do it one more time. So you outline it. And then you fill in the empty space. And what you want to do is you don't want to over frost it, so you just want to kind of shake it to make sure that the frosting spreads around. And then you've got another nice frosted cookie right here. So I finished frosting the candy cane shaped cookies, and I put those in the refrigerator so that the frosting can set. So now I'm going to do the same thing for the star shaped cookies. So I'm just going to outline them. You don't want to go too close to the edge of the cookie when you're outlining, because the frosting does spread quite easily. So I will outline it. Just try to stay well inside the edges, and then fill in the space. So I've got the first few, all the cookies. I have our blue stars right here and our red candy canes. Everything turned out really nicely, and it's very delicious. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.